Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Smite Draft League. As we got a really good one for you today coming from the Challenger League. It's going to be Harbingers taking on Unchained. I'm KingFsher, and beside me here I got Joywolffe. Joy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to watch some Smite. Let's get into it.
Always exciting to watch some Smite, and exciting to watch some of these bands really targeted towards the jungle, all three so far. And is that a trend you think we're going to keep seeing as jungle becomes like a more prevalent role? Wow, that's hard to say. Or do you think there's another role that you think is probably a better priority to kind of take out?
I mean, I always respect jungle bands. They have a huge impact on the map. Um, as one of the two roles that rotate early, so definitely understandable to want to ban out junglers.
Yeah, I think definitely a good move. And speaking of the other role that rotates, it's going to be an Atlas ban. Not one we see a whole ton, but a really, really powerful pick. And yeah, I think Atlas really tops the tier list of supports, but that does leave open some of the more popular picks we've been seeing lately, like the Khepri, the Kabrakan. And do you think they're going to go to one of those high, or maybe try and wait since there's still so many available?
I kind of think it depends on how it pans out. If the supports are looking to counterpick one another, as sometimes they do, or if they're just trying to lock in something like that cap rate that is almost always S tier.
Yeah, nearly always is, and we're gonna see a switch onto a Vulcan hover instead of the Charybdis. And it is gonna be a Vulcan and a Cacolin. Cacolin, not a pick I have seen in a long time. Not one that's normally taken in the top three. I think traditionally, kind of one of those ones you can wait till later. But what are your thoughts on this Cacolin that I'd assume is going into the solo lane?
I mean, it kind of screams that the Chaos Side team will be just trying to maybe run it down through the solo lane. Cullen just oozes lane pressure, so definitely expecting them to be getting active early on the solo side of the map.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of getting active, it's one of the ones we've talked about. It's a Khepri lock-in to go along with that Cupid, and that is a really, really strong Harbinger's dual lane over there. And with no dual lane lock-ins here from Unchained, do you think going into the second ban phase, are we going to see them focus on that, or maybe the other role, which I'd assume Jungler is the other one they haven't picked yet?
Yeah, I mean, Kefri Cupid kind of can stand alone as an impressive kill lane just off the Heart Bomb CC along with Kepri's Root and Pluck. So I'm not sure they'll need to ban out ADCs. Perhaps if they want to ban out some of the safer gods that can get out of Cupid's Fields of Love, such as Artemis, and there it is, Cherry locked in.
Yeah, and a really, really good amount of CC immunity coming from Charybdis. They hovered it earlier, but luckily, with Harbingers already locking in their ADC, didn't need to pick it yet. But I think smart to get that out of the way of the ban phase definitely would have gone for that. And one pick we haven't talked about yet is going to be the Hun bots. Not really a jungler we're too used to seeing here, but still a really strong one. And looking at the ultimates here, Cupid's Fields of Love, Hunbot's Totem, it's going to be a lot of big, really scary circles from Harbingers.
Yeah, I know you and I talk about it quite a bit. Smite Love Circles, um, big, easy abilities that are easy to hit are definitely a boon in team fights. But one circle we haven't really talked about is that Earthshaker ult from Vulcan. That is a huge team fight tool purely due to the area denial and damage. So, talking about circles, can't forget the Earthshaker.
Yeah, definitely, and does a massive amount of damage. So should be really interesting to see if they can hit the Vulcan ult. I think notoriously kind of a hard one to nail. It's really telegraphed. It takes a while to go the full distance, but still does an insane amount of value. And speaking of value, it's going to be the Nemesis lock-in for jungle. And I think, like you said, with that Gakolin wanting to run it down, this Nemesis should slot in great to that team comp.
Exactly, I would have to agree. Um, One thing I would like to see is a CC heavy god similar to like a Jing Tian. Ganesh is already banned out, but something to kind of set up that Vulcan would be really useful from the support, or even if they go, well, Naja was banned, that was going to be my example, but something to just isolate somebody and then being able to secure that Earthshaker would be absolutely huge.
Yeah, it definitely would. And on the other side, we do see a Tiamat. So maybe a little bit of retribution against that Nemesis Kakolin, and I think normally those gods are trying to look to burst down the ADC, burst down the mid lane, but this Tiamat can stay extremely safe, a lot of mobility, can drop a big minion on herself, kind of clear out some of the damage, and those hardened scales in the ground stance make it extremely hard to dive. And pair that up with even more aggression and an even bigger circle, it's going to be a Bellona solo lane.
Yeah, there's the Jing Tian. I'm telling you, I'm a
Genius.
prophet.
Yeah.
But no, also counterpicks quite well into the Bellona, reducing auto attack damage with 50% on the Ferocious Roar. Really liking that. Also, something that Steel is more than comfortable on. So love to see that for him.
Yeah, definitely, and we will have to wait and see just how well they can execute as we send it to a break before game number 1.
Welcome back, everybody, to this first game of the set, pairing off the Harbingers and the Unchained. I'm Joywolffe, he's KingFsher. Let's get into it.
Yeah, and it should be a really exciting game, I think, especially to see early. This dual lane from Harbingers provides so much pressure, and my eyes definitely go over to the solo and jungle duos from each side. Gakola Nemesis, Bellona Bellona and a Hun bots. Which one of those two do you kind of favor when you look at the start of this game, like transitioning through the mid?
I think pre-level 5, you have to give it to the team with the Nemesis. I mean, Hunbots really relies on that ult to really get anything done, so pre-level 5, I'm not expecting to see any ganks coming out on the solo side from the Harbingers, but Nemesis can definitely get active pre-level 5.
Yeah, definitely can, and a lot of big energy coming from that Nemesis, and even when she does take over to level 5, does an incredible job bursting targets down with the use of that ultimate. I think, like we expected here, Harbinger's off to a small advantage here in the wave. And yeah, that Cupid early really clears it out, lands a Heart Bomb onto Steel, that Xingqian might be in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely what I talked about. Just the CC from the pluck, the Heart Bomb, just kill in solo lane. Looks like the Hun bots got active early. Exact opposite of what I predicted would happen, but 1 minute first blood for the Harbingers.
Yeah, and you gotta love the caster's curse and Nemesis, a little bit slow on that rotation. So First Blood and Totem of Coup gonna go the way of Harbingers, and Steel gets stunned again. But ZTantalus being bullied by LuneyToons. Oh, and good job by the Charybdis keeping their support alive.
Yeah, this is kind of going exactly as you'd expect. Khepri and Cupid just locking people down, being able to, land those CC chains and just absolutely poke you out, wear you down. Looking at the potions, Steel only with 2 left, so that's gotta be rough. And another pluck out on a Steel, shell out 2, force down low, he's gotta go back to base. Heart Bomb out on LuneyToons, but he'll shrug it off.
Yeah, and a little bit questionable by Steel sticking around here. Luckily, though, has at least, I think, 5 to 10 more seconds before those abilities come back up. Maybe not. The Xingqian might fall, and he will.
Heart Bomb takes him out. Steel just getting a little too greedy there. You gotta get out when you can. I know you want to get that first item online and start rotating, but man, the greed.
Yeah, a little bit staying long there from Steel, and I think more unfortunate than the death, it does open the door to the purple invade here for Harbingers. I think one thing we've seen from supports is we can see it still in his consumable slot. Supports have been saving that Hand of the God for when they go for their level 2 buff clear, because I think it's so contested now as Warmapplpie, speaking about contested, gonna push a Bellona out despite falling early. Only has a Bluestone Pennant, but doing a lot more damage than Gear Chief.
Yeah, Bellona takes a little bit of time with those auto attacks, mostly an auto attack with the Scott, so, not exactly coming online. As she's getting really poked out, even the minions helping a little bit. pots are ticking, so she'll regen a little bit, but man, that was close for Bologna.
Yeah, a little bit closer than I think she expected, but does get away under the safety of the tower. And unluckily for Kokolin, without starting like a tier 1 of a defense item like Bologna has at Round Shield, not going to have too much ability to kind of go under the tower and really get mixed up in some of these fights. As now Nemesis should be able to take these oracles. If Humbots can steal one though, it's good for Harbingers, and he does get the second. Oh, what is he doing?
The teleport in! He's pincered between two, but manages to just jump away. All is good. Perhaps he'll go back and finish off those oracles now, as it looks like we're just poking it out in dual lane. No, Khepri getting in there. Flippin' Ninjas is being aggro. Forcing out the dash, but now it's used. There's the pluck. LuneyToons is falling low. One more shot will do it, but no, LuneyToons gets out. Cherry is just so safe. As Eagle's Rally comes out, Gear Chief gets the solo kill onto Warmapplpie, and that'll be some time just to free farm. Looks like the teleport will be up shortly before Warmapplpie is done with the grayscale, but still a nice solo kill for Gear Chief.
Yeah, was able to really effectively use that tower teleport to regen some health and get back in there before Warmapplpie knew what hit them. It's going to be a sovereignty first item, and I really like that call. We've been seeing a lot more solo laners build it. You should give him a lot more boxing ability into Bologna, who I think is one of the best solo laners at doing that. And on the flip side, Flippin' Ninjas doing work over there in the duo lane, as both duo laners do tick over to level 5 before Unchained do. So Harbingers off to a slight early lead, but I'd really like to see that convert that into kind of some map state here, as they do get Totem Aku control.
Yeah, solo laners looking at each other, puffing out their chests, saying, "I'm tougher than you," and then backing away. An absolute classic. But yeah, Harbingers with about a 1k gold lead at 5 minutes isn't that bad, you know. Just perhaps they can start leveling that, showing up rather to these buffs when they spawn for invades to further push that lead. As Warmapplpie again under duress transforms and pushing out Gear Chief, but he's still low in a 2v1. We'll see what happens as he's around half HP. Gear Chief is falling low, but Unchained is bringing the backup. There's that Earthshaker. Eagle's Rally comes out as a disengage for Gear Chief. Meatball is good, but not. And the Whirlwind of Raging Steel to force everyone back into the fight. Steel picks up the kill on Gear Chief. Scarab's Blessing comes out from Flippin' Ninjas, but a giant dog shuts him down.
Yeah, and that is a great ultimate from Steel, taking them out of that tower. I thought Unchained were going to get away, or Harbingers rather, going to get away scot-free there, but not the case. Unchained with a really crucial 2 kills. Now they might look for this great Scorpion invade and should get it. I don't think AK can necessarily step up here. They're going to try though, but no. Oh yeah, we'll go over to Unchained.
Yeah, Steel just stepping up, throwing around his axe, making sure that if anyone stepped up, they'd be knocked up immediately. So preventing anyone from being able to contest. Good job from Steel. Just making sure the team's able to secure that Scorpion, steal it away.
Yeah, seeing some good tight contested play there from Unchained. And speaking of Unchained, looking at one build, that is a Golden Blade first item for Nemesis. I haven't seen that in a while. Should help clear faster as Fear No Evil goes out. Dragonlordcat dropping low, has to retreat.
Yeah, Dragonlordcat, a bit of a kit dump onto him, but able to escape, backfire away as he does. Just a bit of a scuffle there. But, yeah, I believe Golden Blade actually received some nerfs a while ago and kind of lost its popularity, but now we're seeing it again. What's your take on that?
I mean, I definitely still do think it's good on certain characters. I think the only person I really love it on are Bakasura and Mercury. I guess Arachne too, but I can't stand Arachne, so I'm not including her. But I think it still should be pretty good for this Nemesis to clear early. I think the one caveat I'd like to see with that is selling Golden Blade late game. I know it's not something people really think about when time goes on as a build. You just think, hey, it's done, don't need to change it. But as long as we do see that swap come out from Giant Dog late, I don't mind it at all, as ZTantalus getting pushed out by Charybdis hard.
Yeah, those autos were absolutely chunking, sending Cupid back to base. But yeah, I like the idea of selling that gold blade. It really helps you with your clear early game, but late game it doesn't offer as much value. So selling that off, getting a higher impact item is definitely a strong option, as PFShawn is under some serious duress. Whirlwind of Wage and Steel forcing out the beads. Tornado coming out, but there's the ult from Charybdis. Scarab's Blessing is going to make sure that PFShawn gets out. Them under tower gets taken down by AK, and Steel is picked off by Tantalus. 2 for nothing for the side of the Harbingers. Just a quick little team fight, but that went disastrously for Unchained.
Yeah, really good job by Harbingers there, making sure they capitalize for Unchained, overstepping. Steel is going to get his thing beads out, and then a really good ult by Flippin' Ninjas to kind of ensure no further dive goes on to PFShawn. And great job from AK and ZTantalus coming in, turning it around. That does open up the map a little bit from Harbingers. We've seen Unchained kind of been stepping up, but luckily not much going to come out of that one as map state goes a little bit more back to even. And this duo lane will be something to look at. LuneyToons has a Transcendence, so should do more damage. And indeed, ZTantalus just going to run away.
Yeah, LuneyToons has been getting super aggro. I say that as he has to run away. The CC from Flippin' Ninjas can definitely be a detriment, but kind of getting pincered here. Tantalus falling back now. Beads forced out by Flippin' Ninjas, but it looks like supports are just going to poke each other out. Maybe a disengage here, as AK is coming in, but steps on a ward, so probably not much going to come of it.
Yeah, and I definitely like the disengage call here from both teams, but it's not going to be that. Giant Dog finds an ultimate. Earthshaker not going to connect.
It looked like it might have connected, but just not as much damage, as Whirlwind of Rage and Steel is going to throw PFShawn back into the tower, allowing Steel to pick up that kill. And will they continue the chase? Unchained says no.
Yeah, and I think that's a smart call, and that was a really good Whirlwind by Rage and Steel. Or what? Whirlwind of Rage and Steel by Steel. That's going to be messing me up as Eagles rally goes out onto Colon. Warmapplpie in danger of falling a third time.
Yeah, Warmapplpie just Gear Chief spinning that hammer, but not able to quite find that damage yet. I like what you did there. You know, we're gonna stick with that Whirlwind of Rage by Steel, maybe.
Yeah, we'll find some way to abbreviate it. Of course, he has to play Jingtian, make our jobs hard, and he is still going to be trying to defend his jungle. Luckily, it is going to happen for Unchained. And I think Unchained are playing those team fights really, really well, and it's something I know I kind of tend to harp on a lot sometimes, but fighting for the sake of fighting is never something I like, so I think good job by them recognizing there's really no objectives we can go for right now. There's no reason to push it out under tower and maybe die for it. But we are going to see them transition over towards his left side. ZTantalus is too far up, and he might fall for it.
Yeah, but LuneyToons is so low. Falling back now, Giant Dog coming in, hitting the slice and dice. I believe it's Divine Judgment, as Steel is just chopping away with his axe, but not able to find any damage. Earthshaker off the mark, and here's the counter engage from Harbingers. Will they be able to pick off Steel? He is very safe with those leaps, but alright, he will make it out.
Yeah, good job from Steel there, getting out without having to expend too much. Good job from Harbingers, counter-rotating, making sure Unchained can't chase him down too far. And another little stalemate now, is I think the question kind of becomes, where do you go from here? Warmapplpie knows where he wants to go, and this solo lane is back and forth.
I was gonna say, both lanes being so back and forth, as Gear Chief is falling low, but, you know, he's able to regen a lot with those auto attacks as Bologna, so the Scourge is done though, so that won't be an option until that comes back up again. But I think really either of the side lanes would be pretty gankable, given that, you know, these swingy fights are happening and both players are ending up low. Just a little bit of extra help could be what these players need to secure some of these kills.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately for those rotations, when we do look at the levels here, the junglers being 10 and 11 are at least 2, if not 3 levels behind. That's not going to matter in a 3v1.
Warmapplpie getting caught in that Fear No Evil, and it looks like they will make him pay as the Kukulkan does fall. AK picking up the kill as PFShawn is now falling to a giant dog, and Unchained taking the Gold Fury, seeing as most of the action was happening on the right side of the map, deciding to pick up this objective, and ZTantalus just walks away.
Doesn't see it? Did he not see it or not hear it? You gotta think that's just some sort of audio mishap or something, not willingly giving that up.
Maybe just not wanting to get picked, not knowing, you know, maybe somebody didn't make the call out that, you know, players were still rotating, but Steel getting caught out here, but will he? Yeah, just jumps over the root, and there's the Fields of Love, though. Can't jump out of those. A giant dog coming in with the slice and dice. The Maw is hungry. Will it find anything to eat, though? No. LuneyToons just firing off the ult and 3ing away to safety.
Yeah, not quite safety yet. LuneyToons still getting looked at. And now the rest of his team not really keen to rotate over. And I think for good reason, too. This fight kind of stalled out, and Harbingers, although they do a pretty good job forcing them out, not going to be able to find anything off of it, except for a lone purple buff. Giant Dog, though, steps back in way too aggressive.
Yeah, I don't think trying to defend the purple buff in a 3v1 at that point was the call. I can understand the sentiment. You don't want to give that buff up, but your life is worth more than that buff.
Yeah, it definitely is, and maybe just wanting to prove himself to LuneyToons, who's been having a really good game so far. Despite being a level behind, 0-0-0, never a bad scoreline. Now Unchained maybe starting to wear down a little bit. We saw them in the early game getting some really good aggression across the map, but now Harbingers, I think, had kind of stepped up around these neutral camps, the neutral objectives, and now they might be looking at Warmapplpie for the 4th time.
Yeah, just collapsing on him, and still just not enough damage yet to bring him down. Warmapplpie is so tanky. He was sitting there as AK shuts me up and shuts down Warmapplpie, finishing off that kill. Giant Dog will be brought back with the Scarab's Blessing. Sorry, was not Giant Dog, but Scarab's Blessing was successful. Resurrection pulled off as Unchained look towards the Pyromancer.
Yeah, and Harbinger's gonna abandon their Scorpion now, don't want to give up Pyro. They have a pretty good chance to steal. Fear No Evil is gonna take it.
And team fight erupts afterwards. AK falls, ZTantalus falls, DLC is low, Dragonlordcat falls, and Harbingers walking out for a 4v1, and now Fire's on the menu.
Yeah, and I don't know how much I love this Fire Giant call. They can definitely do it, but I think I'm a pretty big believer in if you're going to get Fire Giant, you really need to follow it up with some big pushes after. And I don't know if Harbingers really have the levels or the builds to do that quite yet. This Fire Giant takes down PFShawn. Uh-oh, that is not what you want to see. And they should be able to finish it off here, but I think now for me, they're going to have to make this worth it, and they need to find somewhere on the map to kind of press that advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the 5k gold lead is definitely nice in that Fire Giant should only add to that, but not having it on your mid laner who died to the Fire Giant could definitely be rough, you know. You definitely want to make it out of there alive, so unfortunate that that happened, but we'll see if they're able to push down any of these towers that remain.
Yeah, they also narrowly missed the timer to get it onto the Hun Bats, so AK gonna be missing out this time. But I think, like you said, not only just maybe the objectives here secure, but being able to push out that gold lead is always a good thing, as Harbingers do go up 5k, so looking like a really good spot if they do decide to start pushing these towers down. And if you think they do, is there a certain lane you would look at, maybe right lane with the tier 1 already fallen?
I kind of like the idea of just sweeping off these tier 1 towers first, opening up those tier 2s. Tier 1s at this point in the game should fall really easily, and perhaps spending up that easy gold that they've earned, and then pushing forward towards the tier 2s if they still have the time on with the Fire Giant left.
Yeah, definitely. I think getting the tier 1s off the map might be the right call, and like they read your mind, that is going to be the one they are going to go for. Should see them now transition onto left, but no, they want the tier 2. Big aggressive play by Flippin' Ninjas.
Yeah, Flippin' Ninjas with a beautiful block. Fields of Love are out, and Steel looks super low. Gear Chief will finish off that kill. ZTantalus finishing off another, as Warmapplpie, it looks like, is absolutely CC'd into oblivion. Watch the game in grayscale, my friend, as Harbingers are now taking down this tier 2 tower with ease, moving on to a Phoenix.
Yeah, and it should be a pretty easy Phoenix, and I don't like that call from LuneyToons. Already committed to going for that tier 2 tower, but now is going to back and try to defend, but it's going to be way too late. The Charybdis can't get any value.
Yeah, just, you know, Harbingers now falling back. We'll see if it's to the tier 1 tower or this Primal Fury, but just ever expanding that gold lead. An additional 3k in their pockets since the Fire Giant has dropped.
Yeah, and I definitely would like them see them go for the tier 1 first and then maybe back it up to Primal. But Primal Fury is still a really good play call, as they do only have about a minute and a half left on this Fire Giant. So, I mean, hey, they definitely do what I wanted them to. They made a worthwhile push. They got some tier 1 towers. They got a Phoenix out of it. And Harbingers are in a really good spot. 8k up, 20 minutes in.
Yeah, you don't normally see a Phoenix fall on the first Fire Giant push. Fire Giant push. And the fact that there's still a tier 1 tower in an opposite lane before the standing while the first Phoenix fall is kind of crazy. But with Fire Giant should be wrapping up soon, but with that 8k gold lead, it should be really easy for Harbingers to take that second Fire Giant.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about gold, my eyes always goes to the build. And I think one big difference we're seeing is going to lie in the ADCs. It might be why Cupid has 8 kills going the crit path. He's got Wind Demon, Failnaught, and Deathbringer. Do you like that build more than the Charybdis's, I think, pretty traditional one, or are you favoring crit?
I mean, crit is definitely going to help you in your boxing and whatnot. What's your take on Failnaught? You play more ADC than I do. How is that item?
You know, I don't think it's a bad item, especially for crit builds. It's nice having that extra chance with the ultimate, especially on Cupid. The Fields of Love are really, really impactful. So I think definitely uses it well. But at the same time, by going Failnaught, you're giving up the option, I think, to have Executioners and Kin Size in your build, which I believe is what we see Tantalus building into. I'd assume that's the last item Kin Size, but because of that Failnaught, now not going to have Xyz and a lot less penetration for the Cupid. They're going to get this tier 2 before they have to fall back and look at Fire Giant.
Yeah, one thing though I would love to see, just imagine if we see Flippin' Ninjas finish off a kill because he crit off of Failnaught's passive. Wouldn't that be huge?
That would be pretty awesome. Khepri crits do hit insanely hard, I've heard. Never seen one in real life before, but I would like to assume, and now Harbingers, I think, making the right play call, not trying to get too far onto that Phoenix, are going to start backing up for the Fire Giant. I'd like to see them do a full back just so they can spend any gold they have in their pockets. Maybe top up on wards. I think Unchained definitely has that advantage. But going straight to Fire Giant, and this is going to be a pretty big fight.
Yeah, I would have liked to see them spend their gold if they could, but that does give Unchained an opportunity to come in and perhaps take the Fire Giant if they can burn it really quick. They do have a Nemesis Vulcan ult for secure. It is very possible that they would have been able to burn this Fire Giant. So, kinda okay with that. Maybe they stall a little bit so they can spend their gold. And Steel just getting absolutely poked out. Eagles Rally coming in huge. Throwing Gear Chief back in the back line, but not really anything happening. Gear Chief is swinging away, falls to Dragonlordcat. AK picks up a giant dog, a kill onto a giant dog, as Warmapplpie is abducted by Khepri and finished off by AK, as PFShawn is chasing down DLC now. Dragonlordcat is able to get away, but not without surrendering these back camps to PFShawn.
Yeah, good job from Harbingers getting the kill advantage there, and that really opens up this Fire Giant. Because of that Earthshaker ultimate gonna come out, Dragonlordcat and all of Unchained now don't have any potential to steal, and it is gonna be an Executioner last item instead of Kin Size. So I think Steel gonna be breathing a sigh of relief. But that crit is going to melt this Fire Giant really, really quickly, and I'd assume that's where we're seeing Harbingers move to now.
Absolutely, I think that's the right call. They should definitely be heading to the Fire Giant with the advantage they have. If we look at the ult economy, their ult should be up faster. I see beats down on a giant dog, so he is definitely a pickable target for sure.
Yeah, and now we will see the fight. Fire Giant started up, a lot of damage. It's melting quick, but here come Unchained. Can they get in position to steal? There goes a Vulcan ult, but it's dropped.
Yeah, I don't understand this drop at all. I know going for the fight, but I still throws Gear Chief away. Warmapplpie will fall. Steel is getting absolutely pounced on by Gear Chief as Flippin' Ninjas is leading the charge in. ZTantalus behind. Autos firing, but both teams just backing away.
Yeah, and I think we talk about a lot in Premier especially, it's not about getting the Fire Giant, it's about getting the fight at the Fire Giant that is going to open Harbingers up to come back and do it. Definitely, if they did finish off earlier, maybe able to push down a little bit more as Gear Chief. Looks like he's in trouble against that Nemesis. Can Nemesis find a kill though? Fire Giant gonna drop, and so does a solo laner.
Yeah, LuneyToons Giant Dog finishing off that kill is, you know, a nice little compensation prize, but the Fire Giant or a solo laner, I'd take the Fire Giant any day.
Definitely would. I think now the only bad thing is they might struggle pushing down this Phoenix, but 3 members from Unchained in left Harbingers are going to get this mid Phoenix for free.
Yeah, this
at a man disadvantage.
Yeah, this Phoenix is already poked down, so Earthshaker unable to find the mark, but Fear No Evil coming out huge. Steel is gonna fall. Giant Dog might be next on the chopping block as PFShawn cuts him down. AK is fighting for his life here as LuneyToons takes down PFShawn, but Warmapplpie will fall. Dragonlordcat and LuneyToons are all that stand to defend this Titan. Will they be able to hold the base?
Yeah, it's
Minions
a
are
pretty
here.
weak minion wave, so they definitely have a chance as the damage dealers. We'll see though, big pluck from Khepri.
Yeah, Flippin' Ninjas will fall though, as LuneyToons finished off by Gear Chief. Gear Chief is 1v1ing the Titan, well, until Dragonlordcat and Steel showed up. You know, gotta respect the 1v1 homies. But for now, Harbinger is falling back. Just, you know, 3 down. Tough to push down a Titan as only 2 people, especially with 2 Phoenixes up still. So they're just gonna fall back to this Oni Fury and lick their wounds for now.
Yeah, and I think solo laners more than anyone else definitely do like to go for 1v1s that they cannot win. But looking at the builds here, I am noticing one really big problem here with Unchained. They do not have one bit of anti-heal against a Cupid and a Khepri with Fabless Hoops. That could really be troublesome for them come late game. I know we've talked a lot when we see Cupid in game, just how much his sustain really helps out the team. Not having any way to counter that, I think, is really going to hurt Unchained.
Absolutely, you know, almost undisputably, if a character has healing on the enemy team, you should at least have 1 item of anti-heal. In almost every game, you should be building anti-heal. It's just unexcusable not to.
Yeah, and we are going to see some anti-heal coming out from Harbingers. But then I think the one thing I do want to point out, Cupid ended up selling his starter item, going for an Atalanta's bow. And I think wisely, Steel gonna start building that spectral armor to counter it. We've seen Steel get bursted down by this Cupid, and look at those ADCs on the damage charts. They are sitting high. Speaking of sitting high, this Phoenix is gonna be sitting low. Big Oni wave pushing in left.
Not sure why PFShawn is splitting off. He's coming back, but Gear Chief is in there. Now, Flippin' Ninja has taken his spot as Warmapplpie is just getting absolutely shredded. Heart Bomb will finish him off. Eagles Rally out from Gear Chief. Scarab's Blessing to protect him. Probably won't need it, but Flippin' Ninjas is absolutely in deep. Steel, low, but still throwing back Flippin' Ninjas to his Vulcan. Dragonlordcat finishing off the kill as the Phoenix falls. LuneyToons is finished off. Giant Dog will also fall. Dragonlordcat is next on the menu.
This should be the game.
Steel has it all to do. He'll try, but the damage is reigning true. PFShawn will fall, hit down by the Titan, but Gear Chief is tanky enough. ZTantalus will be able to finish off the Titan. It is going on, and that's the game. Harbingers will take game 1.
Yeah. And that was a really, really solid game by Harbingers. They were kind of in the lead that whole game, and I think that really stemmed from that first FG fight, able to find an early lead, wipe towers off the map, and they never looked back. I think ZTantalus in particular did a great job getting that structure damage, getting the things down fast, and 45,000 damage. That is what you love to see from your ADC.
Absolutely. An impressive 14-0-10 stat line, participating in 24 kills. That Hunbots, piloted by the AK, does have one more, but that's an absolutely crazy stat to see. Participation on 24 kills from your carry. Absolutely huge.
Yeah, that is an 83% kill participation from an ADC. Not something you normally see every day. Kind of expect that out of the jungler, who did impact more kills than the Cupid by just one.
Yeah, well, that's been game 1. We'll see you shortly for game 2. I'm Joywolffe. He was Fisher. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, as we hop into game number 2 between the Harbingers and Unchained. I'm Joywolffe. He's KingFsher. Let's get into it.
Yeah, and I think some of the big changes that no, sorry, not Harbingers, Unchained are going to be needing to make going into this picks and ban phase. Definitely, I want to get Harbingers uncomfortable. They look like they were in really solid control that entire game. And one place I would definitely start, this Cupid has to be banned, or it may just be game over again. ZTantalus looked insanely strong on that pick.
Yeah, Unchained opting not to go for the first pick order side team. As you said, Cupid banned out, but definitely a necessity given that they don't have that first pick option. I also love seeing the Khepri banned out. That god offers so much utility through his team fight res and also the CC lockdown that he offers. So love to see that Khepri ban.
Yeah, and I don't think we saw anything or any Khepri reses that were too impactful. Not taking anything away from Flippin' Ninjas, definitely did get him off. But I think still smart to try and make him play a different pick. The less of that original draft you let them take, the better. And I think on the flip side, Harbingers are doing a good job kind of generalizing their draft. I don't think there were any really big picks. They gave them too much trouble, so I think sticking close to their game plan is definitely the way to go heading into map 2.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they're going to lock in for their first pick, if they're going to continue to get Tantalus on a pick that is comfortable for him, or if they're going to look somewhere else in the team. I kind of want to see them draft an ADC here with their first pick. I mean, hard to argue with 14-0 and 10. All I'm saying.
Yeah, don't think you can argue with it. And if you are on the side of the Harbingers team, I know last time they chose to prioritize Cupid first. And are you looking to do the same thing here? Getting TANTALUS, a pick he can really be comfortable on, and kind of carry the game from that duo lane? Or do you think that was more just, this pick is so good, we're not letting it slip away? Because it might be the other case, as they're going to pick up a Jing Tian for flipping ninjas.
It's interesting. I don't normally think of Jing Tian as a first round or a first selection, unless he's an absolute S tier pick, which sometimes he is. But it gives the other team opportunities to not be counterpicked by his auto attack damage reduction on his ferocious roar, and also it allows people to play safer gods, such as a Hachiman, that can easily get out of that ult.
Yeah, and talking about questionable top picks, it's going to be a Hachiman lock-in. And I don't necessarily hate it. I mean, I think Hachiman's an extremely undervalued ADC. The safety is really good, especially for LuneyToons coming off a game where not necessarily struggled, but I think was maybe just put down a little bit by TANTALUS just playing so good. And a Fafnir support, I know that's a pick that you love, so why don't you tell me kind of what Fafnir brings to the table for this Chaos Side team?
Fafnir brings objective play. Uh, His coerce allows multiple allies to just absolutely shred objectives. So if they're able to pick somebody up with some decent secure, they should be able to fight around objectives really securely. But the thing is, again, Jing Tian reduces auto attack damage by 50%. So Fafnir oftentimes choreographs that you're looking to pick up more auto attack characters, and I'm not sure that's what you want to do into a Jing Tian, but we'll see how Unchained plays around that with the rest of their draft.
Yeah, and Unchained might shred objectives, but on the other side, Harbinger is going to be shredding some health bars. The combination of Dodgy's Palau and Hades' ultimate is going to do so much damage, and I think it's going to have to make Unchained really coordinated in their target prio. They're going to need constant communication where Dodgy is, when the ults are coming. You can kind of tell, I think, in fights, when both of those are going to happen. So coordination is going to be the key, and just like you said, more auto attackers inbound. It's going to be a churnabog.
Yeah, I absolutely love this Dodgy, especially paired with the Hades. Both alts sometimes, Dodgy chains you. You're going to want to beads that, or in the case of Hachi or Chernobog, or even Fafnir, using your CC immune ultimates to escape the chains, but then you don't have it for if Hades follows up, or vice versa. So interesting to see if they'll be able to combo those ultimates to burn beads and then punish on the side of the Harbingers.
Yeah, definitely gonna have to look to do that. Now for Unchained, I think the one caveat that comes along with Chernabog, I think this is something that I talk about a lot when Chernabog gets locked in, but the biggest part of his kit is that ultimate, being able to be so impactful all over the map. And so many times we see a lot of Chernabogs just maybe hesitant to use it, and I don't know if it's they don't trust their teammates enough to set up, or they're saving it for when they get in a jam, but I would really like to see, and I'm assuming this is a Chernabog mid, so if it is, I would really like to see DLC get impactful early, spread himself around the map, and not be scared to take chances. I think they're going to need a lot stronger early game this time, because last time, Harbingers came out swinging.
One another thing to go along with that Chernobog, you have your global ultimate that can take you to any enemy on the map, but you kind of want to be with your Fafnir. I mean, do you really want to be, split pushing without him? Just that coerce is such a huge boon to ADCs. As I said earlier, this double ADC comp should be able to absolutely shred objectives. But are you really getting the most out of it if your Chernobog is split pushing?
Yeah, maybe not, but luckily I think it does give them the option to, which is pretty nice. And I think it's all going to come down to execution as they're going to have to be really coordinated. Because looking at this Harbinger's team, they have a lot to kind of stop objective burns. All three of those ultimates are massive. They got auto attack reduction, Dodgy and Hades stick to you like glue. And look at these bans from Unchained. I guess that Tantalus just really likes the Norse ADCs. Uller and Heimdall both taken out of play. Not two hunters we see banned a whole ton.
Yeah, I'm guessing that those must be comfort picks. Perhaps Unchained has done their research, but again, a Chiron locked in, so you can't ban out good players. And I have a feeling that Tantalus has plenty more. Are they? They're also going double ADC. It seems
Ooh.
interesting. I love this.
Yeah, and this is really gonna come down to show which team I think can adapt better on the fly. The fights around objectives are gonna be incredible. So I think a lot of this focus is gonna be put on the solo laners and the junglers, and I think on their side, Harbingers have done a really good job banning him out. 4 of their 5 bans going to solo jungle. And on this other side, do you think that Bastet is going to be able to keep up with the pressure that the Dodgy brings?
It's really tough for Bastet, I feel like, to get active into it, does she? She just has such an ability to absolutely burn down a character, on the enemy team with her auto attack cancels and her two. So Daji is an absolute menace. I don't think she'll be able to keep up with the Daji, but maybe a giant dog will prove me wrong. We'll see.
Yeah, and we will have to wait and see as we are going to throw it into a break, and we'll be back in game. Match number 2, Harbingers versus Unchained. An interesting comps and hopefully an even more interesting game as we come back into match number 2, Harbingers and Unchained. I'm still KingFsher, joined by Joywolffe. And Joy, what do you think about these untraditional team makeups?
I'm really just these supports both make this matchup really interesting. That AoE coerce after Fafnir has transformed is gonna be a real boon for Unchained, but again, Flippin' Ninja's just able to roar and reduce the auto attack damage by up to 50% once that ferocious roar has reached level 5. I have to imagine that would go in the favor of the Fafnir, though. He just hits such a large area, and it's hard to roar everyone as Jing Tian.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's going to be really interesting to look out for the later we go, I don't think we discussed it much on the desk, but it is 2 mage solo laners, and both of them look like they're building into just kind of prototypical mid builds, going for a lot of damage. So only having one real tank in the biggest air quotations I can make is going to be really interesting to see how this kind of affects the teams and how aggressive they are. Speaking of aggression, both supports trying to solo the enemy ADCs.
You know, both supports, I respect it, just brings me back to the invade meta of just being an absolute harasser, just causing problems while your team gets stuff done. That's kind of just what you do as support sometimes, just be a thorn in the side of the enemy team, and I live for that.
Yeah, and
One
here comes the biggest thorn as Giant Dog tries to get aggro onto Sean. It's gonna get knocked up though. No such luck for the Bastet.
Yeah, just that giddy up, able to peel yourself as PFShawn on the Chiron. Just such a interesting way to peel, but it does secure his safety in this instance, so it works out.
Yeah, it definitely does. And speaking of PFShawn, is the only one in the game to go for this Bluestone start. So I think it'll be interesting to see how much of that of an early edge it gives him over Chernobog. I like that Cherno isn't going Bluestone. I think it's very bad on him. But I think it'll also be the reason Dragonlordcat kinda should, at least I would expect, get pushed out a little bit in this early game. And I think that'll open up the door for Dodgy to get a lot more aggressive than the Bastet. We saw it game 1 on the Humbats, but AK really spreading themselves around. And I think they're looking to do that same thing here in match number 2.
Kirchi going for the blue invade, though, getting poked out heavy by Giant Dog and Warmapplpie, and he will fall to a Giant Dog, giving up first blood. Really, as Hades, you want to be pushing this lead early, but you have to have your wards up and make sure that you're gonna be safe, not gonna be ganked, so rough to see.
Yeah, ward's pretty hard to come by in the first few minutes, but luckily Hades does have tower TP, so not going to miss out on too much experience. And we do see Baron Samedi is staying around the same level, so not too much lost from that Hades, and does set Baron without his buff, so maybe a little bit of wave pressure to follow. And it's more wave pressure here in duos. These supports really do not like ranged characters, I think.
Yeah, just getting in there, being aggressive, just absolutely harassing the enemy ADC. Uh, you just have to get in there sometimes. You can't let it be a boring laning phase. You just gotta mix it up.
Exactly. Boring games are games that aren't worth playing. But now, PFShawn is pretty low on mana here, so I think this may be one of the few opportunities Dragonlordcat will have to step up and get more aggro if he wants to, but Chernobog does not look to do that, just going to clear out wave. Now he does have his ultimate fairly early on, and given how much rotations we saw from this giant dog earlier this game, and I think game 1 also, I'd be interested to see if DLC wants to join him on a gank, as I think Bastet might look to duo kinda soon. Harbingers playing a little bit far up.
Yeah, looked like a blink in from AK here. Just doing the dodgy thing, getting in, doing your damage and whatnot. But looks like they'll be falling back. And LuneyToons is rather low in the dual lane, but both junglers were in mid, so looks like he'll get off scot-free as well.
Yeah, and LuneyToons should probably back and maybe wants to stick around for another wave, and I think that can be the bane of players sometimes. Speaking of the bane of players, Gear Chief gets his revenge. Warmapplpie is going to be cold apple pie sitting in the grave. Hades gets his second blue invade off.
Yeah, and one of the things worth noticing as well is this Tainted Steel starter will absolutely nerf that healing from Baron, and no anti-heal yet from Warmapplpie, as that Tainted Steel is the only item, starter item rather than. Ooh, hold that thought, Dragonlordcat coming in, but losing out in his beads and ultimate. That's gotta feel rough.
Yeah, and Flippin' Ninja's probably pretty proud of themselves there getting that rotation out from Dragonlordcat. Almost said steal after last game, but I think luckily for Unchained they should find a little bit of value off this Dragonlordcat ultimate. Get the Oracle, it should get red buff pretty easy as well, so as far as early games ult go, you know, it's not wasted. They still get a little bit over here on the left side. But I think Unchained's still feeling good about that one. They're going to have a little bit more pressure here in the duo lane now.
Absolutely. This Artemis is a god that you have to pressure out, because if she hits late game, she is going to slap hard. You don't want to deal with a late game Artemis, as Gear Chief going in on Dragonlordcat and AK landing the chains on DLC, and there's that Pillar of Agony. Dragonlordcat had nowhere to go, as a giant dog being forced off his back camps. Gear Chief's just gonna make him watch as he takes these poor little harpies from him.
Yeah, and right from the dodgy pillar onto the Hades pillar, not much hope there. For Dragonlordcat, a little bit confused we didn't see them just dash into the wall, but I guess Hades does cripple, so maybe making that a little bit hard.
Yeah, really unfortunate spot for to be caught out in, but um, that's just like we called it in the picks and bans. Dodgy ult into Hades ult. Absolutely a disgusting combo.
Yeah, and I think couldn't have said it better myself. And it is a really hard one to get away from as well without those beads. Obviously, I'm guessing the ultimate just came back up, probably would have channeled that to get away from it all. Speaking of getting away from it all, Tantalus now gonna fall back under the safety of his tower, does have Tusky up. So I think any dive that Unchained attempts here is gonna be pretty unsuccessful, but they are gonna get a successful invade onto the purple buff. They're not even gonna take it either, just leave it there on the ground.
Yeah, Harbingers rotating towards that purple buff could definitely be scary. Huntress of Bast not finding a mark, as Steel and a giant dog are falling back now. Chase is off, a giant dog being able to leap away safely, but um, as Unchained fall back towards the mid lane and the red buff.
Yeah, and we're seeing Harbingers now being a little bit more aggressive onto this Gold Fury pit and in mid as well. I think Unchained did a pretty good job early kind of establishing themselves in that jungle, got a lot of buff invades off, but it is about transitioning that to the mid game. Luckily though, 8 minutes in, I don't really think there's any big objectives here for either team to fight over, but with the double ADC, it is going to open these Gold Furies, Pyromancers, even Fire Giant up so much sooner than they normally would be. So I think the smallest misplays here are going to have a massive impact on this game.
Absolutely. I'm kind of expecting it. I would definitely see it on a Fafnir, maybe not a Jing Tian who wants like a blink or something to hard engage, but seeing a frenzy come out later just to help aid with those burns of objectives.
Yeah, and I think kind of on the flip side of a frenzy, maybe something like a horrific emblem from either the Hades, who I think doesn't really need a blink, or the Jing Tian as well if he opts to go without one, could really be impactful into this double ADC comp. I think likewise, something like Midgardian Mail, it's an item we see scarcely, but maybe brought out this game, up onto the Palau goes dodgy.
Steel, no beads, DLC, no CC immunity. Steel has to transport, but AK gets turned on, and Steel jumps in. And Tusky doing some absolute huge peel work for Flippin' Ninja, trying to help that Jing Tian get out. And everyone's trying so hard to make sure he makes it out alive. And PFShawn snipes. He got a hit marker, but he didn't finish off the kill.
Yeah, Harbinger's trying a little bit too much there. Unchained do a great job capitalizing upon that. Is now bringing back the gold difference from about 1,200 to 400. Not the biggest swing in the world, but you feel it all the same. I gotta wonder if maybe that was a bit of a misclick on that flippin' Ninja's ult. Did not look like he was in the right position to really get that whirlwind off. And not going to pull anyone, kind of unfortunate for them. Luckily, not going to lose too much. The Gold Fury is going to be ignored for the time being by Unchained.
Yeah, I kind of would have liked for maybe Unchained to head over to that Gold Fury, maybe just kick the tires a little bit, see what kind of response they get, even if they don't fully commit. But it looks like they might be heading on to War Chief instead. He jumps in. Gear Chief is able to finish off Warmapplpie though. This Hades absolutely slamming at this point.
Yeah, 3 kills, 1 death early in. You love to see that if you're a solo fan or if you're a Hades fan. I think, like you said, the objective play early can definitely see it. And also, I think with no real big tools to steal it away on the map, it's going to let both these teams play so much more aggressive at those pits. I don't think they're going to be nervous about it falling. It's now not engaging onto LuneyToons. In a 2v1, maybe smart. Here comes Dragonlordcat. Can he find value? No, he cannot.
Unfortunately, Flippin' Ninja's just too tanky, a little too safe at the moment. Uh, AK is blinking in. LuneyToons taking some damage, but managing to step away. Chains, no good out of AK. Unfortunately, not able to hit Pater there. A pull would have been absolutely huge, bringing somebody to their certain death into the arms of the Harbingers.
Yeah, and Harbingers now are trying to limp away, and I think they should get away pretty home free. Now, we didn't see it last time, but maybe are we going to see Unchained aggro onto the Gold Fury if all the Harbingers members back? Seal going past it, though. Still no, but should see some oracles there on the left side. Gear Chief again getting aggro. Can the ult get it? Baron manages to get out.
Yeah, life of the party is CC immune, so able to escape, but man, that 3 out of Gear Chief just absolutely chugs.
Yep, and that magical defense is not online yet for the Baron, although he is building it swiftly. I think definitely the right call. And now one thing I want to see out of Unchained, we talked about it last game, it's going to get brought up again this game. There needs to be a lot of anti-heal. One Brawler's Beat Stick on a Bastet is not it, and if I'm Unchained, I need a Pestilence and probably an Ankh against that Hades. And that Hades now going to be caught in a 3v1. Is Gear Chief going to be able to do anything here too impactful? But luckily, I think everybody's just going to kind of walk away from that fight.
Honestly, if anyone's caught in a 3v1 on the Harbingers, I would want it to be Gear Chief. He has a full Bancrofts, and a full Warlock staff. That man can absolutely heal for days. As I just cast cursed him as he falls down to Warmapplpie. Oh no, takes down Warmapplpie. My apologies.
Aha.
See,
Yeah,
I
no.
knew what I was talking about.
Casters always know. No curse today, as the Hades gets the 4th kill. And one thing I'm always interested in is if he's going to go for that Bancroft's Claw upgrade. It's something we see a lot, as now we're finally going to see the Gold Fury looked at, and watch it melt. That is what you get with Fafnir and 2 ADCs. Artemis could not react fast enough. Unchained get a big objective, but they're still down 2,000 gold.
Yeah, nice little compensation prize, but as Harbingers take out the Pyromancer, kind of mitigating a bit of that gold that the Unchained were able to bring back from that Gold Fury. But still a win for the side of Unchained. You definitely want the Gold Fury over that Pyromancer.
Yeah, and I know I harped about builds and looking at anti-heal specifically earlier, but looking again at this Baron, just built a Lotus Crown, and going into what I would assume is a Shogun's Kasari, I think that would pair so well with the team. And this Hades still building full damage, so late game, if we get there, I really want to see how big that difference is between the Baron Samedi and what he can do for the team versus this Hades and the pure damage that that is going to output onto the backline of Harbingers. Or Unchained, rather.
And speaking of the Baron and the Hades, looking at their stacks on the Warlock staff, Gear Chief built his a full item later and is about 15 stacks behind. That should tell you just how much Gear Chief is able to impose his will over on the solo side of the map. But on the other side, Flippin' Ninjas is pressuring out LuneyToons as Gear Chief and AK arrive. But PFShawn in the mid lane, forced to use an Aegis, but a giant dog is still there. 6th the cat on him. Dragonlordcat finishes off the kill. Steel able to bounce away for now, but the fight's kind of petering out in Doom's side. As AK up into the powwow, beats forced out by a giant dog as Gear Chief still trying to run him down, but nothing else lost on the side of Unchained yet, as Gear Chief is still looming. Steel leap in from Gear Chief. Tier 1 tower will fall, removing any safety for Dragonlordcat, but the combination of ults from Hades and Flippin' Ninjas will secure DLC's life.
Yeah, and a lot expended there from Harbingers. Probably feel pretty good about that one. Getting the kill, getting the tier 1 tower, massive value for this Order side team. Now the question arises, where do they go from here? Pick up a tier 1 on the left side of the map. So all tier 1 towers are down for Unchained. I think kind of mounts the question. They're on the back foot now. I don't think there's any way denying it. And it'll be interesting to see when Harbingers decide to go for towers, but right now they're going for Hades. Gear Chief, lazy back.
Absolutely destroyed. LuneyToons making a big rotation towards the mid lane to pick off Gear Chief. Man was sitting at 5-1 rather, as Warmapplpie is now being poked out by Daji. There he goes. AK able to pick that one up, bring a little back on the side of the Harbingers, but Gear Chief was such a big shutdown. Man has been absolutely dominant this game, so getting that kill had to have been worth quite a bit more than picking up Warmapplpie for the Harbingers.
It definitely should have been, and the lazy bat gets punished. Normally, what you see, and I mean, the Hades does lifesteal a crazy amount, but you can't lifesteal much if you never get an ability off. Unfortunately for him, not going to live through it, and Giant Dog might not either. Has to leap away. Can ZTantalus catch up? No. Oh, does it back in?
Bass bring him in. That's so brutal. And PFShawn catching up to Giant Dog, finishing him off, and looks like another skirmish breaking out. Steel knocked up, but he's able to make his way out with that short little leap on Fafnir, and just a 1-0. Giant Dog falling.
Yeah, definitely questionable to bring the person that's chasing you back in, but did end up falling to PFShawn anyway, so I don't think it would have been too much of an issue. Did get that Artemis a little out of position also, so Harbinger is going to have to recollect themselves before they can go for anything. And speaking of going for anything, over here in the duo lane, ZTantalus and LuneyToons been kind of going back and forth all game. Neither of them have died yet, though. It's been a really quiet duo lane. It kind of stark opposite from last.
Yeah, both ADCs now at level 16, but ZTantalus has a full item over LuneyToons right now. You know, I don't know if he just has it backed, and PFShawn able to hit those snipes, taking down LuneyToons, Steel jumping in onto ZTantalus, but DLC coming back in, and ZTantalus says no sir and puts him down. DLC will fall, and Steel now on the retreat, ultimate forced out, had to jump away, and now Harbingers headed to the Gold Fury.
Yeah, and the double ADC, that's going to be a double fast death for this Oni Fury. Oh, I guess Artemis is missing, but not much shot at stealing from Unchained. And unfortunately for them, Dragonlordcat a little bit late on the rotation in there. If they got there earlier, maybe LuneyToons has a little bit more help to try and stay alive. But the answer's still the same. Harbingers pull off to a 5,000 gold lead again. But getting the Pyromancer back, Unchained, I think taking the right steps to make sure it doesn't fall too far.
Absolutely.
Unless it's stolen.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
Harbingers, just absolutely insane awareness. Hunters of Bass forced out. Paolo also trying to pick up a Giant Dog. Giant Dog will make it out, but Warmapplpie falling to AK is just criminal. You have to be aware of what's going on around you. You can't just let the dodgy sneak in there, take the Pyromancer, and then burst you down.
Yeah, and they did have a ward outside the Pyro Pit, right where Dodgy stepped to, so definitely knew she was coming. Maybe discounting the damage a little bit. Harbinger is feeling good. Unchained bounce back. They should get
damage out of a Giant Dog, but he will fall down. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel is coming out. Steel thrown up against a wall. LuneyToons low, not able to do much, but Gear Chief is low. Shell forced out, and again, these teams are just poking away at each other, sending people back to base, and a lot of these scrappy little team fights haven't finished off with kills, but LuneyToons perhaps next. That tier 2 tower isn't that safe, my friend. Flippin' Ninjas is coming. Blink in, AK, slicing and dicing, cuts down LuneyToons for another kill, and the killing spree.
Yeah, no relics, no ult, no hope for the Hachiman as he is going to fall. Harbinger's feeling really good the way they're going about this one. Hard not to, looking out for the tier 2 tower, they're going to get it, and only one remains on the map. I know we saw an early one last game, and I think it's up on the docket again if Harbingers elect to go for a Fire Giant here. They're all backing, I think it might be on the menu pretty soon.
Absolutely, we're at the point in the game where this double AEC comp will be able to absolutely shred through a Fire Giant. So, Hades perhaps needs to fall back to join up with his team unless he's going to continue zoning, but that's a very dangerous place to zone from.
Yeah, it definitely is. And now I think to kind of quell some of our concerns, it does look like it's a Pestilence coming out from the Fafnir. You know, still no Cursed Ankh, but I guess you don't really need it if you do well enough with the anti-heal you got. Now, both teams are going to have 5 live, all ults, except for the Bastet. But looking at those relics, I think Unchained actually have a slight advantage. Maybe that's something to play off of in this next fight.
Yeah, if they do pick a fight, I would like it to be when the enemy has more relics and down. You know, perhaps being able to capitalize on some missing beads on Gear Chief, but if not, this could be an absolute disastrous team fight as Harbingers are being engaged on. PFShawn is a little bit low, but Jingtian bringing them in, and Gear Chief absolutely running in, ulted, Warmapplpie down, that's one. Steel steps up, steps back.
Ooh,
Harbingers,
yeah.
5 strong, headed the Fire Giant. They said, it's our time. We're ready to start burning the big guy down. Gear Chief on the zone. Flippin' Ninjas does get knocked up, but it doesn't look like there'd be any contention from Unchained.
Yeah, there will not, and I think that's probably smart. Definitely don't want to lose anybody else. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how I feel about the Hachiman being the one to split push. I think having the Chernobog there would be a much better idea. Able to get back faster, and Bastet too, getting aggressive, Unchained. I don't... Are they planning not to defend the tier 2? It's gonna turn into a Phoenix if they're not careful. Bastet finally backing, and Chiron deal with the Hachiman. They're looking for a Phoenix, and I don't know if Unchained is prepared.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're in position. You know, Steel is at such a low level that he could just get blown up. LuneyToons running into the wall. PFShawn trying to land some abilities to finish off the low LuneyToons, but it could go either way. Aegis saves Shawn life, LuneyToons loses his.
Yeah, I don't know how PFShawn won that one, missed all of the Centaurus shots, but luckily able to find the ones after, and that's all that counts. Both ADCs, an ADC and a mid, I guess, use their Aegis, so they're going to be down, and it's a Gold Fury call from Harbingers. Gonna step off the Phoenix, maybe a smart play in a 4v4. That Fire Giant is so valuable, you really don't want to lose it from your team. It should be an easy Gold Fury, but what do you think their objective should be after this? What lane do you want to see him kind of run down next?
Looking at the minions, it looks like duo side and solo lane are rather pushed. A Trebuchet is on the duo side, so that could make life a little difficult, but this double ADC team should just be able to auto attack it away if it's sent down the lane, so I'm not too worried about that. It looks like
Artemis did back. No, they only have one ADC on this push.
Yeah, so maybe jumping the gun a little bit on this Phoenix, but they are ahead, so understandable to want to push that advantage as AK deletes Dragonlordcat. And up into the powwow as well, looking for targets, able to find Warmapplpie. Shell popped on the side of Harbingers, but they'll just disengage for now. Oh, a giant dog trying to make the difference, going in. Gear Chief shuts him down as PFShawn, run my boy, run. You don't want any of this smoke. LuneyToons trying to finish it off, but as Gear Chief and Flippin' Ninjas, the front line is standing strong. They're looking to finish off Steel here. He lands his hammer throw, is able to walk away, but man, Unchained is looking worse for wear.
Yeah, and look at all the... Ooh.
Warmapplpie falling as well. This could be game.
It could be. I don't know. There's a lot of low health bars for going against a Fafnir and a Chernobog. Definitely might see it, though. Artemis is on her way back in, but with Hades backing, I think that's probably gonna... Yeah. Oh no, he has teleport. It's possible, but I'm not gonna lie. I think patience is definitely the key here. You have Fire Giant coming back up in about 2 minutes. I think the smarter play is probably to wait for that and then go for it. And by taking out that left side Phoenix, they're going to have a lot to contend with Unchained. They're going to have to choose if they want to defend the Fire Giant and maybe get it, or if they want to lose half their Titan's health.
Absolutely, and this is where the ult out of Dragonlordcat could be absolutely huge. Being able to defend that duo lane Phoenix, and then also being able to ult back into the team fight whenever he's needed. But it's going to be a tight rope to walk, and, you know, that Trebuchet can help them push out lane a little bit, but it'll fall fast in the face of fire minions.
Yeah, and the Trebuchet has not been started along either. Hachiman's missing. It's the 5v4. If you're Harbingers, this is the fight you take, and it's the fight they want. Flippin' Ninja's getting aggressive. Can he find an ult?
Yeah, Flippin' Ninja's in the thick of it. PFShawn charging up before his front line. Absolute mad lad. No real damage coming out yet, but
Artemis again is way back.
Yeah, this is looking kind of rough. PFShawn falling low as Gear Chief is over, absolutely scrapping it up. Giant Dog taken down to about half health. That's brutal. Flippin' Ninjas jumping around, doing Jing Tian things. Warmapplpie caught out as Gear Chief is absolutely deleted by LuneyToons. Flippin' Ninjas making and AK retreating, making sure that they make it out to safety, taking their pick. Gear Chief fell, making sure they aren't picked again as they fall back to the Fire Giant that's about to spawn. It's blinking, it's ready to come back up, and this is a 4v5 for Unchained. This could be their best fight of the night.
Yeah, Chernabog ulting in. Can they find the kill onto flipping ninjas? Now, Harbingers overplayed their hand. Very discoordinated in what they want to do. Had one ADC missing, one ADC fighting a losing 1v1, and the Fire Giant is about to get 5v1 by Unchained. Can Harbinger step up and make a play?
Warmapplpie getting absolutely poked out by Tantalus. He is low, and Steel being thrown back in. PFShawn will finish off Dragonlordcat and Warmapplpie. Steel falls to Tantalus. No one pulled back by the dodgy powwow, but Fire Giant's on the menu. This could be the time for Harbingers to really bring home this game if they take this Fire Giant here.
Yeah, speaking of bring home the game, they straight up could have ended. It's a 5v2. They don't need the Fire Giant. They're going to try for it anyway. LuneyToons should fall, and he does. 5v1. I would just run it down straight into the Titan room. The left Phoenix is down. You got two ADCs. This should be the game for Harbingers.
Absolutely. Warmapplpie and Steel up in a few seconds, but what...
Why is he doing an XP camp? You're level 20. Come on, AK.
Yeah, is that really your objective? We're about 30 minutes into the game. You could be winning. If they're a few minutes away from stealing this Titan and lose, it's all on AK. You can't be stopping during that. Team fight breaking out. Warmapplpie up on the coffin. Life of the party. It's out of here. No one sucked in. Tusky coming up huge. Drops Steel. Puts him in the coffin. And DLC able to finish off that Titan. That's game number 2. Harbingers take the set.
Yeah, I think harping on him a little bit at the end there, but really good set from AK in particular, I think. Those dodgy powwows were so impactful most of the time, forcing out beads, forcing out ults, and securing a couple really crucial kills. Harbingers looked a little scattered towards the end, but to their credit, they cleaned up their act and they took home map number 2. They're going to get the 2-0 victory against Unchained.
Absolutely. I mean, AK, we were harping on him, but absolutely stellar on this dodgy, participating in 12 kills, as was Gear Chief. Their dive was absolutely lethal. They did just as I had suspected in the draft, able to just combo those ults and be an absolute menace, disrupting team fights and making it so no one was able to escape.
Yeah, it's really, really solid engaged by Harbingers. I think that might have been one of the turning points. I think Giant Dog did pretty well on the Bastet, but unfortunately for Warmapplpie, got behind pretty early, and Fafnir is not known as the most aggressive Guardians, so maybe a little bit of the aggression there for Harbingers is going to make that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Harbinger's just able to formulate a lead and then run with it. That's how they won game 1, and it took a little bit later, but that's how they won game 2 as well.
Yeah, and that is going to wrap it up for us here with week number 2. Harbingers do take the victory 2-0 versus Unchained. Thank you again all for watching. Make sure you get in the Discord, get notified, and get in the league. And with that is going to do it for us. I've been KingFsher with Joywolffe on the desk, Nooblet on production. Thank you for watching and have an incredible rest of your day.